Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode number 56. My name's Mike Williams. I'm joined by Mr. Gareth Evans.
Hello.
And Jake Kulkowski.
Hello.
We're all in a great mood. How's it going? We're just going to go through the podcast as normal, going through all of your questions. This is kind of the thing we do, which I always say this at the beginning, but everyone knows this is how the podcast goes now, right? Read the patrons' questions, but it works. It's good. It's a good format.
It's nice.
If you're a patron and you want us to answer your questions, then just respond to this podcast on our Patreon feed. We'll put it up on the Patreon page. You can just reply to that, ask away, and please do know that I really try and get everyone in, but there is a lot of questions at this point. So if I didn't answer your question this week, if I didn't pick it for the script or whatever, just ask again next week, and we'll try and get it in then for you. So let's jump in straight away. Blizzard Smith with the first question of the week. I'm in my 40s, but still love games as much as when I started playing at 7. The thought has already crossed my mind that even when my reflexes slow further and I get arthritis, I can still play the likes of XCOM, etc. So do you think you will play games all your life into your old age?
I mean, yeah, not all the games need to be like, I don't know, reaction-y, twitchy shooter things. I mean, even now, I couldn't play something like Lawbreakers or Overwatch. It does my fucking head in. I'm just like,
too many colours.
Down.
Yeah,
too many colours. All these
too much fun.
Too many memes and that. Just fucking hell. But yeah, you know, that's the thing. You can find games that suit your age.
Yeah.
You know, right now you'd recommend the game to a 6-7-year-old. You'd recommend a game probably to a 40-year-old. I don't know how many 40-year-olds are out there loving Overwatch. Probably quite a lot, to be honest. But yeah, the fact that there's lots of turn-based games as well, take out the element of reaction time, which I guess back then, you know, how old is he? 40 ish.
Yeah,
and then so when you were playing games like in whatever ages ago, loads of games were quite reaction based. Asteroids and that, Space Invaders.
Yeah.
You had to be quick to be. But and
it was challenging because if you failed, you had to start the whole game again.
Yeah,
that's how games were designed.
Exactly. Obviously, there was lots of like text-based adventures as well. So it's always, you know, it's not only ever been like that. But I think that the fact that the more games there's more opportunity for, you know, people with disability as well can't react as quick sometimes in some cases, you know. So I see people playing games with their feet or with one hand, and I love that they can do that. And
Ricky No Hands on Twitch, man, he plays with his mouth. He's literally got no mouth. He's got this like controller. He sticks his knife, he blows in. He's got 3 little input things. It's fucking crazy how they do it.
Yeah.
But fucking fair play to them. They've got these like controllers for people with no hands now.
So even if your arthritis gets that bad that you have to be amputated and that, you can still play games.
I don't think they do amputation because of arthritis. I think you just you just have hands that don't move, right?
Yeah.
But
they don't go. This arm's a lost cause.
Yeah, but at that point, save a bit of space, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but yeah,
it's not just turn-based. It's not just turn-based games as well. It's real-time strategy with pause. There's a lot of them coming around, you know.
Yeah.
Which are a favourite of mine specifically.
God knows how many indie games as well that are just slower paced. Your walking simulators and whatnot. You don't need. You don't need.
I can kind of empathise with you here, dude. What was his name?
Blizzard Smith.
Blizzard Smith, because I mean I've been gaming for 30 years myself, since I was around 7 years old, and I feel like a lot of the new games, like Jake was mentioning, Overwatch and that, they're just like not for me. As you know, the online games, I just want a game I can take at my own pace. I'm getting old now, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there is games there. I like a lot of indie games. I like the adventure games. I like the slow strategy games too. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be gaming way beyond my 60s at the very least.
Oh yeah, I've never ever doubted that. My mum would always ask me things like, "Oh, you're going to be playing these?" You know, as I was leaving my teens, she was like wondering why is he still playing video games, and it's like, you know, but I've never doubted the fact that I'll still be playing Total War and stuff well into retirement age or whatever. Hopefully, that's the dream, innit? That's the dream.
Still be watching movies. Why not? Play video games,
of course, yeah. I don't think it's in doubt at all, and it's just going to happen more and more, isn't it? Because there's more gamers now than ever, obviously, and as they age and move into that kind of age, there's going to be old people who really love playing video games. They even introduce it into old people's homes with like the Nintendo Wii and stuff to get people more active and stuff, because that was physically that was one of the genius of Nintendo there coming through, just getting people doing things they don't normally think is what you do in video games, and that that's already kind of happened. And then the same goes for Microsoft Kinect and stuff, and now you've got VR that essentially does a similar thing. It just makes you think about games in different ways. So yeah, definitely I think people will be playing especially if, our generation and younger,
Yes.
The younger you go, people will be playing games well into old age, I reckon.
Making games for the older generation too. You think that as the demographic shifts to more older games playing, they've got to cater for them. This is opening the market there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting observation. I think with indies and stuff in the last kind of 8 to 10 years, they're just, no matter what your taste in video games are, there is a definite genre there for you now. There's just the indie market is so massive. It fills in so many different gaps that AAA just kind of leaves behind. And anything that you think is a blind spot in AAA gaming, something that you think is an idea that isn't explored properly in AAA, just have a look at what indie games are on Steam and stuff. There's stuff that, there's just all kinds of things are catered for in thanks to indies now. And certainly as we go older, definitely people will start like designing stuff properly for older games and whatnot. So that's a great question. Thank you very much, Blizzard Smith. On now to Jordan Back. What game disillusioned you of a game studio or sent a game franchise downhill for you? So for him, it would be Mass Effect Andromeda with BioWare. He says he doesn't have faith in them now. And Assassin's Creed 3 that he says ruined Assassin's Creed until Origins came out. So I'm going to agree with you with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
But mine was actually, I've kind of became suspicious with Assassin's Creed Revelations, which was like the third in the Ezio trilogy. So there was Assassin's Creed 2, and then Brotherhood, and then Revelations. And then they were just coming out like in really quick succession after each other. And then Revelations, I was like, oh, this is, it's the same game. It's a very similar setup to Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2. And I didn't really feel like it moved on very much, and then I was kind of suspicious of the franchise then. And then Unity came around, and I was just so bored by Unity, even though I thought the setting was a great idea. I just didn't get on with it at all. What about you guys? Any big games or ideas or anything from studios that are just kind of put you off them?
The obvious was Call of Duty. I used to be a big Call of Duty fan back 8, 9, 10 years ago. I think Black Ops, the original Black Ops, was where I just lost it. It was Modern Warfare, right? And then it's
Modern Warfare.
Was it Black Ops 2 after that?
No, it was Modern Warfare, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops.
Yeah. After Modern Warfare 2 was, and then it was. Yeah.
Well, I've put that down as one of mine as well. Call of Duty World at War, because I remember that coming out after Modern Warfare, thinking, all right, back to World War 2 and stuff, but it's the newer kind of feel to the games and stuff. And I played it. Had the zombies mode in there, first COD game with the zombies, and the zombies was like fun, but then I was like, hang on a minute, this is like, how are they going to keep knocking them out every year from now on? And lo and behold, here we are in 2018. That's exactly what they're doing.
I really enjoyed Modern Warfare 2. I heard the thing that they're bringing it out, aren't they? Is it like
I think that that's a really popular one.
I wouldn't have bought the first one, but I think they've learned from their mistakes. Because they locked Modern Warfare Remastered to whatever game it was at the time, Infinite Warfare.
Infinite Warfare, yeah.
But I don't
desperation, pretty much, to shift units.
I would buy Modern Warfare Remastered. Modern Warfare 2, I really enjoyed it.
And then they sold DLC map packs for which were essentially that game, which was the DLC itself, the remastered version, right?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
More expensive than it was when it came out. I think games that I wouldn't say like disillusion me from a franchise, because I think that's just such a final thing to say. It's quite silly, really, because there's always a chance, like even the guy asking the question, he fell off Assassin's Creed until Origins, so it's just like a band having a bad album. You don't go, oh, I hate this band now. But Fallout 4 was particularly disappointing. I found I was like halfway in between blaming them, halfway blaming myself. Maybe I'm just past this sort of thing now.
Is this my fault somehow?
That's what I felt like. I was like, this is just like the third game of Fallout 3, right? Just like Skyrim, but I'm not enjoying it as much. But then apparently it seems to be quite similar across the board. Another one I didn't really like was Hitman. Not this one. Is it Absolution, I think? Where it was very different. Very, very different.
I think, there was some big crowd scene or something. I remember that being...
Yeah, it was because it was Blood Money, right? And then it was this new... I think it's Absolution.
A bit more linear and structured.
It was linear, and then it was like, rather than like having... It was like, enter a room, tag 4 enemies, press the kill button, and then your guy will line up and do, and it was just a bit different than what you expect from the Hitman games. Yeah. And... I didn't really like that one. Although I'm actually anticipating the next IO move. Hopefully there will be a new Hitman, and I can back that. But that one was very, very disappointing. I'm Fallout 4.
Yeah, no, I think they're both good shouts. Yeah, it is. You know, disillusionment. Yeah, it is pretty strong to say, but I can definitely understand where it comes from. If you've enjoyed a series for a while and then suddenly you're going, there's just a sudden change in direction or something, or for me it's always that they're bringing out too many of them. Like they're just batting them out, and I just feel like instantly I feel like cynical and skeptical of like, this is not really a lot of soul and stuff, and this is just last year's game but with some new features and stuff. And if I ever think they're kind of FIFA-fying a game, that's not a slight on FIFA, just the fact that it comes out every year, I kind of get a little bit suspicious and then kind of try and move on pretty quickly. So that's a good question. Thank you very much, Jordan. So Rudy Manchego's next. He asks, chaps, very much enjoy the video on the British Games Institute. Thank you very much, dude. What are your thoughts on why the UK government, at least, invests so little in such a major industry for the UK? So quick refresher there. The interview that we did with Ian Livingston, who's just kind of helped co-found the British Games Institute, they're going to be getting more funding, and that's their aim of the organisation, is to get more funding into video games and other things as well, like cultural awareness and stuff. But that's one of the big things. There's just not enough money coming into gaming as an art, like there is in movies, and that's despite the fact that gaming makes so much more money than British film does from UK studios and stuff. So why is that happening? Why would you think that, not just the government, I guess it's just any kind of private organisation or any kind of fund, like the lottery fund or something like that, they've got a big pot of money, they're pouring it into arts, but gaming still isn't getting a lot of the share from that. What do you reckon?
Just out of touch, aren't they? They're just not finger on the pulse.
It's an image problem.
I just think they don't appreciate the value and how lucrative it is and how popular it is, how many people actually game these days. They just don't appreciate that. Whether it's just ignorance or just blind, they don't want to appreciate. Don't want to acknowledge that gaming is here to stay, and it's something for adults and not just kids who are just wasting their time in between doing assignments or whatever. It's there's a certain ignorance involved, especially politicians and lottery or whatever as well. You just got to look at the figures. Look, how many multiples of money do you have to make in an industry before you get it recognised? You know what I mean? Multiples of the movie industry. It's fucking huge.
I think it goes to a deeper point as well about like just artistic validity. Like they just don't think that gaming is worthy. Like they don't think it's good enough. Right. They just don't think there's enough meat to it. They don't think that it's culturally a good thing. Whereas if you come out with a really good film, it can be like this big cultural phenomenon that will send ripples across the world of people thinking, oh, this is a British movie, this is really good. They make really good films in Britain. And that's just as a basic thing, is like you could see why the government and other organisations would see that as kind of important. Just the fact that it would be a respectful endeavour. Whereas if you fund a really good game, okay, it makes loads of money, but so does like gambling. So does so that they I think it's an image problem. I think that's what a lot of the BGI is going to be. Is just kind of trying to show the people who are in positions of power, going, look, this is really good. Showing them games like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice and many more besides, like indie games and stuff, and saying, look how good, look how interesting this is. Look how it makes people think about stuff. And what do you think, Jake?
A bit of prestige, isn't it? Because I guess you're right. Like when you go on YouTube and you go in like all the tabs and stuff, movie tab is like the trailer for the new Avengers and Peter Rabbit and people like Mark Commode. They're like the top results, prestigious TV journalists or radio journalists or critics or trailers. And when you click on the gaming section, it's like still now like Minecraft reacts, Let's Plays. If you don't know anything about gaming, you click on that, it's kind of a alright sort of thing. And it's just, I don't know what that's to do with, but it's just like people aren't interested in gaming. Yet at face value, will think, oh, that's all they're offering. You don't click on the gaming tab and you're seeing the trailer for something like Hellblade or whatever. I think BGI just being there, just having a channel with a bit of class, just it's aimed a bit more towards adults rather than the very vocal child to teen to young adult crowd that the gaming scene seems to be catering for a lot of the time. Anyway, at first glance, when you're into the gaming scene, you know where to go. You know, there's websites like MCV and Games Industry who are like really, really, proper. But I just think it's down to stuff like that. It's just the way that it's all marketed and the way that it's all consumed. You know what I mean? My dad probably thinks gaming's still done by like, 12-year-old kids, because if you search gaming, it'll be like Minecraft Let's Plays.
And that is the problem. It's changing that perception, right? And that's where the image problem comes in. It's coming up with a plan. This is what this isn't Ian Livingston.
Yeah,
that's what his plan is. Is to just try and change that perception, that false perception that all the fuddy-duddies have of gaming.
Yeah, and it shows that the industry, at least recognises now that they've been growing, they've been exploding in terms of like making money and growth and stuff over the last couple of decades. But like now they're in a position where the industry's kind of getting to be decades old at this point, and several decades old, and then you kind of line up where maybe movies were when movies were growing up and stuff, and seeing where that was, so this shows that there are people high up within the industry, people like Ian Livingston, who are going, we need to like just do the people. We're not getting the kind of respect and recognition that other kind of art forms are. So let's just try and do that rather than just waiting for it to happen by accident. Let's just set up an organisation that's whole purpose is to improve the image of gaming, or kind of raise the awareness of what it actually does. I think it's actually really big news, like in kind of a sleeper big deal. And I think in a few years you'll probably start to see the benefits of that, games being made that otherwise would never have been made, and things like that.
Supported by
directly
the
through the BGI. Yeah, exactly. Because the BGI is there to show the government and show other funding bodies that gaming is great, and then they'll start putting more money into the industry, and then you'll start getting indie studios that are getting set up and funded that otherwise never would have got the cash to do that. So yeah, thanks for the question, Rudy. Ben Sharp asks, what are your favourite sad games? For example, I'd go for Walking Dead Season 1 and This War of Mine. Both very sad games. This War of Mine is particularly bleak, actually. This War of Mine, but it is a brilliant game. Yeah,
This War of Mine would be one of mine too. The developers of which are developing Frostpunk now, which should be this year. Again, I've had hands-on time with an early build of that game, and it is the same kind of bleak outlook type of game, and that looks like a lot of fun too. It's a different type of game. It's like a colony management type of game, but still that looks cool, so check that out if you're a fan of This War of Mine and that kind of sad, if you like your sad games, check that one out. And the Last of Us is kind of a sad, The Walking Dead as well. There's lots of good games that touch that kind of that feeling.
When a game's particularly emotional, sadness usually is one of the stronger kind of more overwhelming feelings, and that's kind of how you get a connection with these games, and that's why you love them so much. Jake, what games do you like to get bummed out by?
Every game that's sad is normally good, right?
Yeah.
Now, I did the Fireside Chat video on it last week, which was about tragic deaths in video games, so if you want to watch that, there's quite a lot of different games on there, and you can see a little bit more of what we picked. Maybe not a sad game, but sad moments in games. I think I think a lot of people who are artistic and stuff, a lot of the best songs ever written are always like sad love songs, or a lot of the best films ever made are all like trying to prove a point. Isn't slavery bad? Oh, do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that, isn't it? Like Brokeback Mountain was a huge success because the ending of that. There's a lot of Titanic.
I just love the way you distilled that. Isn't slavery bad?
But a lot of the time, all the big bits of art in general always seem to come from this place where it moves people through sad stuff. So a lot of the best games I've played have sad parts, and I find Metal Gear Solid 1 pretty sad. You shouldn't do it, but I do. I every walking simulator is always really sad on purpose.
In its own way, I think there's a couple that aren't. Gone Home, I guess.
Gone Home is quite sad. Gone Home is quite sad, right?
I'd say, but
that
I don't
bums
think
me out big time.
It's not overwhelmingly sad. I think it's.
I think the devil's in the details there. If you let yourself get absorbed, you can make yourself.
The family stories and stuff.
Yeah, it's like Life is Strange. Yeah, you could perceive that to be pretty sad as well, but a lot of people just think it's goofy millennial trash. But true. If you can get immersed in it. It is pretty sad. I like that. Everybody's gone to the Rapture. That's one of my favourites. I'm just quite conscious that I've been mention it every week or something like that, but that just really does answer this question.
Yeah. Get out of the way in the intro. That's what I found works for me.
Maybe that's what I'll do next week.
I'm surprised it hasn't been mentioned yet, Mike, to be honest.
But I've got to say I really took to that, and I love how that's like a little anthology of stories, kind of like What Remains of Edith Finch. Lots of little stories being told, and they're all chapters of a bigger story. But yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, well, interesting you mentioned the fireside chat thing. So my pick for your fireside chat last week was the Morden from Mass Effect 3. That who dies in spoilers in Mass Effect 3, he dies quite heroically. If you make those decisions, I can't remember if he always dies, but he died in my playthrough anyway, and it was just one of the greatest kind of heroic deaths I can remember. That's why I picked it. But Mass Effect 3 really strikes me as an example of a AAA game, a big, massive budget AAA game with loads of hype and expectation on it that is incredibly sad and bleak. And I don't think there are many games that do that. The Last of Us, Uncharted 4 in its its own way, and it's Mass Effect 3 was like I remember thinking, I know it's like a flipping meme and stuff because of the ending and whatever, and everyone says Mass Effect 2 is actually the best one. It probably is, but I think there was a lot going on in Mass Effect 3 that was like, it was like overwhelming odds. It wasn't just like a hero kind of trying to save the galaxy. It was like they weren't losing a war; they were being farmed by a superior, civilization. It was like ridiculously overwhelming, kind of, and they really went in with both feet on that to make it incredibly sad and heavy. Nice. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I guess here it comes again. I guess, but Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. What a sad game! What a sad story! What a sad, everything really. Yeah. But there it goes.
Last of Us is just ace all the way through. Loads of sad points.
And the ending, and it's melancholy.
A lot of deaths in that. There was pointed out in the fireside chat comments where one guy said where the brothers died. The woman you were with at the start, she dies. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, Tess is it? Isn't
Yeah. There's so many deaths.
Even the DLC.
That was a heroic death.
Yeah,
Tess, she stands behind to stays behind to fend them off. Yeah, that game has a lot.
The DLC even, that's got.
Yeah. What was cool about Tess's heroic death was the fact that she didn't really seem like the heroic type until she's like, she just seemed like a bit kind of like hardened by the world and stuff. But then she still had like the heart to be like, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay here. And
that's a nice bit of bleak storytelling. Last of Us.
Yeah.
Even the ending.
It's melancholic,
sad.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate to sound like an absolute fucking dick, but it's not. It's different to being just sad. It's like, it's like it's a little bit. It's just kind of off sadness rather than like, this is so depressing sadness. It's different. It's a different thing. Trust me. All right, next question. Thank you very much, Ben Sharp. Tom Cartmel asks, what's your least favourite? A lot of these negative questions this week. What's your least favourite protagonist in an overall great game? So for me, it's Delsin from Infamous Second Son. That's a good shout because Infamous Second Son had some good stuff in it. It was kind of like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 game launch title, pretty much launch title for the PS4. And it just looked really nice. It's kind of superhero open world type thing. And it was pretty fun. Good launch title all around, I'd say. But Delsin was a bit of a knob.
We'll see. Yeah. Is he like really animated? His name's.
He was
Delsin,
like he had a base. Well, no, he had like a beanie hat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what else you want to know, but he
like,
had a beanie hat.
Is he like a Watch Dogs 2 character?
It is a bit Watch Dogs. Right. It's a bit Watch Dogs, yeah.
I know what you're saying. I don't know. I can't really think of any. I'm like, shut
well,
up.
I couldn't off the top of my head, but I've thought of a few, right? So Tidus, Final Fantasy X, he's a bit of an arse.
That laugh is ace.
Yeah, that's a big meme, right? Alex Mercer. So the prototype games, they're not really classics, I don't think, but they were pretty good.
Yeah.
But they were very good in comparison to how much of a bell end Alex Mercer was. So he's like so far down that it makes the game, is great in comparison. Also, Jason Brody from Far Cry 3. So he had a pretty interesting arc where he was just like he was just like some extreme sports dude.
Spring break gap year douche.
Exactly. Spring break gap year douche is exactly right. That's exactly what he was. But then he just kind of really gets the taste for killing. So because the game is like open world shooter mayhem. A lot of people don't like it, but I do quite like it. I do like the fact that he gets like hooked on between the drugs and everything, and he kind of really likes the thrill of the gunfight and stuff. I think that's quite
like
interesting.
A horror film main.
Almost, yeah. But he is a knob.
And to talk about Watch Dogs 2, like was it Marcus, the guy out of that? And his group of like, we're hackers, we're cool, we're so edgy.
Oh yeah, that we're hackers, cool. Bro.
We're hackers,
that line,
bro.
right? Yeah.
Like, why do we do this? Because we're hackers. If you call yourself,
hackers, bro. Yeah.
That was, I don't know, I wasn't connected with that. And the one that sticks out to me, I don't dislike him so much as like not just nonplus about him. Is Geralt. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that might be a dagger to the heart of a lot of people. That's how I feel.
You know what? It's
Yeah.
not. I can't think of many.
That's
reasons.
probably why I don't play the game.
Yeah, I can't think of any reasons to defend him. To be honest, I mean, he's not a lost cause by all means. But I'm not like, are you serious? Geralt has got
There's many people thinking they say that thing right now.
There's a couple of players I'd defend to the death, but Geralt isn't one of them. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel mad about that. I'm almost like, because he doesn't.
Well,
make
you
it
quite
easy.
patronisingly say you'd only like The Witcher 3 if you've never played an RPG properly before.
Yeah.
So of course you won't spring to Geralt's
He doesn't
defense.
make it easy
You
though,
dick.
does he? He doesn't make it easy.
No. I do quite like him, but I do, I really like Aloy as well. Which there's another comment actually about that, which we'll get onto later on. But for
Another
the
stony-faced.
similar reasons, which is kind of. Someone who can't be asked, someone who's like getting, because I always think this in RPG games where you're stacking up like a side quest thing, you're building up your logbook of jobs that you're doing, you're getting nagged basically.
Yeah.
And Geralt's reaction, apart from like the main quest, which is all he cares about is finding Ciri, everything else, he's like, oh for Christ, fine, I'll help you, kill the monster or whatever. Yeah. I love that that's his, because that's how he would be. He's like,
that's how I am when I'm playing the game. Fucking hell, all right.
It's good. It's good writing, man. It's good writing, and I love the voice actor, the story behind the voice actor as well, and because he's not a voice actor. He's like a university professor or something like that, or something like that, and he just can switch on this Geralt voice, which is so cool. Like if you ever see him talking properly, it's definitely worth checking out. And also, all the backstory and that in the books and whatnot.
Shouts out the book fans.
Yeah, but there's after The Witcher 3, I played The Witcher 2 before playing The Witcher 3, and I played that because it was like people were saying that is the top tier like PC graphical showcase game, and I just got a new card and I was like, all right. But then I really got into it and I really liked the world and stuff. I think Geralt's alright, man.
Yeah,
I think Geralt's alright. That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying.
He's alright. Yeah, got good points, hasn't he?
Just a Stormtrooper asks, have you ever had a game that you didn't play because of mood swings or absent-minded, or did you play but the first 10 minutes were uninspiring, just to pick it up again later and it becoming one of your favourite games ever? So something that you kind of dipped into first. And
shall I go first?
Please do.
Right. Mass Effect 1 took me
good answer.
3 stabs, I think, to get
Good
past the
answer.
Citadel. It's
not a good first impression, is it?
It really isn't. And, it was a third attempt, so I tried 2 times previously, and I knew it was something to do with the Knights of the Old Republic guys, and it had an okay beginning mission thing. You get a little taste of the combat, and then you go to the Citadel, you're surrounded by these races you don't know, you're in this embassy thing, getting bollocked by people you don't know for something you don't know about. You just don't know a lot of stuff.
People saying about humanity's place in the stars, and
you're
you're just
like,
what you're talking about.
up.
Yeah.
And then,
like Geralt, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I turned it off twice. But then the third time I thought, no. Let me see. So I timed myself. I'll give myself an hour and a half.
Yeah. Starting right from the beginning again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't actually own the game. I just lent it from a mate. Well, my mate lent it to me, should I say. And then that time I was like, okay, right. And then it got really good. Really. And it's as soon as it clicked, I could have sat through 3 times as many cutscenes as I did in the first hour because I was engaged. But something about that really. I'm glad I did because I really enjoyed Mass Effect 1.
Yeah. And you can really get caught up in the loop of just making a character just over and over and over again and just kind of running at it a few times. I think mine was an RPG as well. More recent was Breath of the Wild because I played that. Gaz let me borrow the Nintendo Switch and your copy of Breath of the Wild, and I had a spin on it, and it just it wasn't landing for me, and it was all right and stuff, but yeah, it just didn't grab me. And then I got my own Switch a couple of months ago. And a copy of Breath of the Wild because I wanted to give it another. If it's winning all the Game of the Year awards, and I tried it for about 5 or 6 hours and I didn't get on with it, I had to give it another go. Yeah. So I did, and I really, really, really liked it because I played it a completely different way. I played it in a very relaxed kind of state of mind, and it was I really, really got on really well with it. What about you guys?
I don't have any games that became my favourite game. From the negative first impression, I don't tend to go back to games unless I
one and out.
Well, no, not really. If I'm not enjoying a game, if I can't get over that initial bump, then I'll watch gameplay, right, and I'll see what is attractive about it.
Okay.
And I'll jump back into it. But I can't think of an instance where a game that I didn't like to begin with became one of my favourite games. I can't think of any of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess it is pretty tough. I mean, if you if you didn't really like games either, and then went back to them, you probably generally will just remember the fact that you like them, not that you didn't like them straight away. So
I'm just a good judge of character, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it might.
If someone hits straight away, then it's got to be a fucking good game, right?
Probably that, innit? Stephen Brazier asks, which game would you want to see in the Switch lineup the most? Mine would be Mass Effect 2 or any Metal Gear Solid game.
Just Mass Effect 2.
Fallout New Vegas, man.
Just Mass Effect 2, yeah. Not the
No,
trilogy,
the others,
just the second one, yeah.
Fallout New Vegas for me, innit?
Fallout New Vegas, that's a good one, and not out of the, not completely out of the picture, I don't think, with Bethesda being big Switch supporters.
I think that's very and Fallout 4 might be pushing it because of the graphics and stuff. New Vegas seems more like that's closer to Skyrim.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very achievable goal.
That and fuck Fallout 4, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah, well, fuck Fallout 4 as well, yeah, man. I don't have a Switch, so I've got no stakes in this, but Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3
definitely
on the Switch as a trilogy.
That's one of my answers for 100% sure. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3 translate really well to that kind of screen and those controls. I think I'd absolutely love that. Final Fantasy 9 as well. There's a lot of RPGs, a lot of JRPGs on it. 9 in particular for me, but really any of the Final Fantasy kind of series would be cool. As far as I'm aware, there aren't any on there already, so that definitely Final Fantasy 9. XCOM 2 as well, because they've got Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle on there. But if that works, then XCOM will work. XCOM is an incredible game. XCOM 2 is just one of the best strategy games in the last few years, as far as I'm concerned. Very, very good. So that, please.
Shout out to FTL as well, because that would be cool.
FTL Into the Breach.
So many indie games.
Yeah. And Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask Twin Pack. Get it done. Get it fucking done, Nintendo.
Sign me up.
Right I think all of these sound pretty doable as well.
Yeah, because everything would be better on the Switch. That's the thing, though.
Total War, no.
No, not right. Not the PC exclusives, but every console game would be better on a Switch. Because it's just a console, but you can take it into a small screen.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you put Far Cry 5 on there, it would run like arse, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be it wouldn't be Far Cry 5, would it?
No. If it could handle it, by all means. Yeah. But no, don't push it too far.
Yeah. Basically all games. Stephen Brazier. That's the only real answer to that question.
Answer,
Yep. So we'll have one more question before we move on to Fact of the Week and the 30-second throwdown. And this week it's Nilman who asks, what is the hook you look for when approaching a new genre you've never tried before? I personally go for aesthetics and character design to ease me into the experience. In my case, Heroes of the Storm for MOBA style games. So what's the thing that you need to keep you interested in a game or a genre that you wouldn't really normally be interested in? What do you need to be good?
It has to be the story for me, and it has to be some sort of reason for doing what you have to get through and do.
Motivation, a nice bit of
it has to. I mean, graphics are here nor there for me. I've played many a game with really shit graphics and loved them through my time.
Yeah.
Gameplay, it has to be decent gameplay, right? So gameplay has to be up there, but I think if the story is good enough, it'll pull me through any sort of bugs and glitches. Yeah. Right. If I want to feel, it's like watching a movie, right? And if you like the movie, but we won't get to the end of the story, but for me, I'm one of the guys who wants to find out how the story pans out, regardless of you have to suspend your disbelief because you don't believe that some shit happens. You're like, they wouldn't fucking act like that, or this is a bit unrealistic, whatever. If I want to see the end of the film, I just have to do it, and it's the same with games, right?
But even if the camera was shaking and there was like bad editing and they left some green screen on in the background instead of keying out and stuff,
sci-fi.
That wouldn't stop me from what. If the story was good enough, that wouldn't stop me.
Right. Okay.
It really wouldn't.
So if the script essentially is good enough, that's all you need.
If the story was good enough,
Jake.
I don't know. Like aesthetic is important. I think overall fluidity,
definitely.
Like that. How well graphics integrate with UI and sound design, how everything feels as a package. You get a very good sense quite early on of how much something's meant to be in a game. Like Inside, right? The game Inside, the color scheme, the graphical style, the sound design. It's all such a tight very well.
Purposeful.
Yeah, clear vision. And when I know that, I think, okay, well, it doesn't matter if the gameplay gets a bit repetitive because I know that they're going to be going somewhere, but there's a lot of things that I look for. But if it's a new genre, aesthetic's quite important. Maybe the sort of setting or the theme. I like ninja samurai stuff quite a lot. Because I don't think, maybe it's just because it's a bit of a novelty because you don't get that much of it.
Yep.
Like Ghost of Tsushima, that aesthetically is gorgeous. I'm way into that, right? I haven't even seen any gameplay of it, but that's already, I'm like, okay, that's already in the maybe pile. Like, that's already got one foot in the door. Now all I need to see is like a nice bit of gameplay trailer. But the way that like they had that sound design, they had it all working together. Like they know what they're doing, that package. It's not about the hype of the CGI trailer, that's not what it's about. It's about that cohesion between sound design, graphics, and the theme, I guess.
You can see care and attention and things being deliberate rather than just being chucked in there and focus tested and what worked in other games. Well, we'll put that in our game. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like that. Like you can tell inside, like they had the story before they started writing it. They've not just gone, all right, now we need the water bit, now we need the desert bit, now we need the forest bit. Like you can quite clearly tell it's got some creative oomph behind it, and I like that shit.
For me, it's 100% like universe and setting and just kind of depth of the world, and if it's immersive enough, not necessarily the plot and the story beats, just the characters that are in there. And I can get through a game thinking that it was an incredible masterpiece without thinking. With it being a completely, like, if it was a film, it would be a completely paint by numbers action movie kind of thing.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
But I really, I can. But it's the world and the ideas that are in there, and the just what you were saying about the art and stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're just ideas. They're just robot dinosaurs. That's a stupid idea. It's a stupid idea. But then it doesn't matter because the execution was fucking incredible. I thought
exactly. Horizon Zero Dawn's like first 10 minutes where it's like 99.8% DNA match, and I'm like, this is 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen here. And then you got to just jump through all these hoops, and I'm like, what a load of bollocks. Predictable bollocks. But the way that it all tells that story makes up for it. So it's like kind of like what Gaz is saying is One Piece, and what I'm saying is the complete opposite. You're saying if the story's good, if everything's executed, even quite badly, because of that idea, you'll push through. And for me, I can do that, but the opposite way around. Like, even I know the story's pants. I know it's predictable. I know it's going to be some like Project Eden, New World Order, Future Found bullshit. Because it's like they're doing it with feeling. I'm like, all right, cool. Whatever.
Exactly. So and same with Fallout and even Fallout 4. To be honest, I liked milling around in that world because of the world that it was, and there were some things in there that made me laugh, and it was just like not the best Fallout game, but doesn't matter. I still enjoyed it.
Pretty good game
because of the setting and the ideas and stuff. So it's all about the universe for me, I think. But thank you very much, Neilman. Thanks everyone who asked the first set of questions there. So let's move on to Fact of the Week. Can we have the jingle, please? The story of 2005's Resident Evil 4 is supposed to take place in Spain. The currency used throughout the game, however, is the peseta, which is curious since Spain had switched to euros in 2001. But this may well have been a deliberate design choice to illustrate how backwards and archaic the particular area in the game actually was. So that's your Fact of the Week. Let's move on to the 30-second throwdown, which this week is titled Life in the Big City Part 2, a tribute, spiritual successor to the greatest. Let me just get the timer up here, guys. I'll count you in. 5, 4, who is it? 3, 2, 1. Jake.
Alright, so we live near the city of St. Asaph. You might remember that from Liam's classic about the cows. Another slightly curious issue is the culinary diversity is very lacking. You can get pub grub and you can get fish and chips, and that's about it. But most of the cities offer at least one place you can get ramen noodles. But me and Liam were talking about this and disappointed to find that you can't in St. Asaph. I don't even know if they've got a McDonald's in there. Some city.
You got another 5 seconds if you want to say some city a few times.
Some city.
Perfect. Right, that was a great 30 seconds. Nice and tight. That was the sequel to Liam's classic, Life in the Big City, Part 1, as it's now known. We have to add the Part 1 at the end, at the beginning there. So let's move on to the second part of the questions.
That was the equivalent of like when you get story DLC not made by the original developer.
Yeah.
And it's lacking. And you're like, oh, fucking hell. Why didn't they just get the original team into this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they moved on. They're making their own indie games now. They're free from the publishers.
Outsourced it.
Okay, so this isn't really a question, but I thought it was a really interesting point, and it's just follows up from what we were talking about last week with female protagonists and women playing games, and there was a big discussion that we had. But yeah, I just thought this was a good point that we should bring in. So Janet Williams says, first of all, she says she really enjoys the podcast, and she laughed like a drain at the last podcast. Which
what does that mean?
Is that a saying?
Gargling.
Like a drain. A drain.
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's like Popeye.
That's a good theory. That's a good theory. But she laughed a lot, is what I think. That
if your
was
drain's
about.
laughing at you, man, get an exorcist, innit? That's point one. Right.
Or a plumber. So thanks, Janet. So here's Janet's again comment rather than question, I guess. So I particularly enjoyed the question about female gaming and thought it interesting that you all think Aloy is a great example of a female lead protagonist.
I knew this was going to come.
I enjoyed.
I knew it.
Go on. I enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn, don't get me wrong, and Aloy is a good character, but I really don't get the endless accolades about her. She is utterly deadpan, which is spot on. She loses her entire family and only close friend Rost and barely registers it. Not a tear, nothing. Throughout the entire game, she goes through incredible ups and downs, and her calm monotone effect doesn't slip once. I cried on several occasions because the story was well done and really moving in places. But Aloy remained steadfastly unfazed and immune to emotion, apart from quite a lot of sarcasm aimed at Silence, which I personally found rather irritating. I think she is a perfect example of a great female character from a guy perspective.
When I said I knew what this was about.
Yeah, I know.
It was because you know like Geralt earlier.
Yeah.
And then he said something about Aloy, and I was like, I reckon someone thinks that Aloy's the same, like very like she seems distanced from from everything, and Geralt's a bit different because he's like a mutant, right?
Yeah, there's like a biological reason for Geralt.
He genuinely is a mutant. And another thing, he doesn't know these people for the majority.
Yeah.
Well, apart
and
from
he's gone through training and stuff that kind of separates him from
But Aloy, this is a very very good point because there's kind of no real excuse for Aloy to be kind of. Let's get on with it, then, isn't it? You know, like what's
she's
his name?
just hard. She's just like
tough.
Whatever.
She's tough, is it?
And I guess other than the fact that the world is a hard place and it's like tribal society and it's all very survival of the fittest. You've got to take part in a trial to become a certain So it's all very like cutthroat and. If you're weak, then you'll get left behind. Yeah, so I suppose that would explain something.
And she was raised in like solitude with Rost, and taught about apathy and stuff like that. And she wanted to play with the other kids, kind of thing. But he was like, no, and she's always been treated unkind by other people. So maybe there's some sort of like empathy barrier that she faced. Could be that. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Like that question was a bit. I still couldn't think, could I? Right? I still can't now think of a truly. Female protagonist who's great for the female characteristics that she has because they're great or shit. It doesn't matter what the gender is, I think. But Aloy, I can see.
No, that's why I wanted to read out.
Big time.
I just thought we'd present it as a counterpoint because I keep banging on about how great she is, but I am a male, so it's a different, completely different perspective, as Janet has very astutely pointed out there. So I just wanted to read that out.
But I think she is tough, right? And she doesn't get emotional about stuff. That's part of the point, right? But if she did, would she be as tough? Would she be able to handle it as much? So that's part of the let it wash off of her. Yeah. Otherwise, she won't be able to carry on. She might just break down. So I think that's part of why she has to be like that in order to carry on with all this. The world is fucked up. The world is a shit place. She has to be tough.
And it is. And she still does kind of fit in the mold of a AAA, open world third-person gaming kind of protagonist, where like all the Assassin's Creed ones, where they're all like they're all capable and cocky and they're in their own way, and they're all different. They're all kind of really focused and really good at getting up buildings and shit like that. So she also does kind of fit that mold, but I just thought it was a great point, so I just wanted to
a nice angle on it that we didn't.
Exactly. So thanks, Janet, for your comment, and you keep watching. I think she just recently subscribed as a patron as well, so thank you very much for
welcome. Get that train sorted out as well, all right?
Yeah, like maybe
Exorcist,
plumber and an exorcist.
Yes.
Maybe one guy.
Ideally, a guy that can do both.
Yeah. I know a guy called Beric who might be able to sort you out. Gareth McLeavy asks, well, he says rather, he's currently playing Halo Wars on Xbox One. Have you ever resorted to using a walkthrough?
Gareth McLeavy.
So this is not a question about
Gareth
shapes
McLeavy,
or sandwiches or fruit.
Wow, shouts out.
This
Big
is
Gaza,
a gaming question. Unless I'm missing something. Honest to God, Gareth McLeavy.
We analysed this.
I was been racking my brain the last couple of days thinking, what's the angle here? What's the
you fell right into my trap.
I'm missing. You got inside my head. I was trying to think.
If we honestly answer
is this really Gareth?
Psych, there's actually no Halo Wars walkthroughs.
Exactly. I thought it was maybe like some Halo Wars community banter or something that I just didn't know about. So I guess I'll go first. For Bloodborne, a couple of points when I was chasing the platinum. Some very specific trophies they were hidden trophies, so I needed them to know what they were to begin with. But really specifically, like going through the Chalice dungeons, which is a part of the game that's separate from the main game, and you just need like to know a specific path of what to do and what order to do things. So definitely, yeah. And when I was a kid, all the time, yeah. What were you guys?
I think the most recent one for me was like a Little Nightmares or something. Playing through it, I didn't realize you could walk up like the bookshelf on the back wall. I didn't realize that was a mechanic. So it was like, where do I go now? And I was turning around. You just find what you have to do. You walk up the check out. I can walk up the back, and then you carry on. You don't have to read to the end of the thing. You just carry on playing because if there's one point that you're stuck at.
Question.
So I do that quite often. If I'm stuck on one specific thing, I just find out where the next specific place to go is, and then
I on Kingdom Come Deliverance, I missed where you found the spade. I was looking in the woods and that, and I was like, where'd you find the spade? And it's like right outside Miller Peshek's house. That's the closest I've got. A walkthrough of the whole game, no man. Like, I remember back in the day, ages and ages ago, on like CVG magazine, they used to give walkthroughs away, and I think I used one just out of happenstance because the game that I've got is the game that's the walkthrough this week. Oh my god, if it was Final Fantasy 9, and it's the bit where you're going through like the ice cave and you fight the Black Mage for the first time and he uses Blizzard. There was a couple of secret chests. I couldn't believe my luck. Oh my god, they're secret, and I know where because I've got this little book. I think that's about the only time I've used it for like looking at for finding things and finding out how to be dead good at Tetramaster in that little guide. But that's about it.
I think the only actual Prima guide kind of really thick. There's a really kind of tome of a book that you could get, and I got one of them with Dragon Age Origins, or it came out before Dragon Age Origins. I was properly hyped for that game, right? And I was, I was a student at the time and stuff. I had a lot of money to piss away on stuff, and I just picked up one of them, and I just found no fulfillment from it whatsoever, and never. It's the first and last time I've ever bought one of them books, and I'd never go back to it again.
They're quite collector-y now, aren't they?
I suppose so. Yeah.
They've got like some of them have concept art for the enemies. Yeah. They have a glossary of the enemies, and they've got stats that you won't find in other places. Like I think actually Bloodborne. You heard of that? Soulsborne. It's one of the later ones.
Right. Okay, I'll check it out.
Anyway, some of the enemies, like I see in YouTube comment sections, people know the name of the enemy because of it being in the Bloodborne official guide. It says the enemy's called. So like people still buy them, people still use them, and a lot of the time they can look nice on the shelf. Books look nice on the shelf. Yeah, fact, innit?
That's their main purpose, right? That's
fact of the week.
That's the only reason you
part two.
You buy a book. Nick Phillips asks. Is it Nick Phillips? Yeah, it is. Favourite what surprise moment in a game? I read that really badly, so I'm going to act it.
Is it a wait what?
No, it's not a wait what. I think it's like what? Like the South Park. The mum from South Park, you know what I mean?
That's what it is.
So favourite what surprise moment in a game? That's a bit chickeny, but that's all right. I'll just stick with it.
What?
So Nick Phillips says, 10-year-old me had no idea how to deal with first encountering the T-Rex in the original Tomb Raider. Sheer confused panic.
Panic is the right word, man. That's scary as fuck.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say sheer confused panic. I would say, playing Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2, because I was like, what is going on here? At first, I was like, is this a young Snake? Is this a flat? I was a mess. Like, I was an absolute mess. I didn't know what was going on. And every kind of 5 minutes playing Bloodborne, basically. Confused panic.
I mean, it was a slow start this week. It's 45 minutes, and there's 3 mentions in the last In the last 5.
Yeah, it's been strong. It's been a strong late game for the Bloodborne.
Just knock them out of the park. That's the trifecta.
What a comeback! I remember
down on the canopy.
shooting a head off or two in Resident Evil 4, and then the fuckers grow worms out of their head or whatever.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's a series thing now, isn't it? In Resident Evil
You'll
games.
get to a point where you shoot something and something comes out of them, and you're like, what's
usually
this appendage and how do I destroy
kind
it?
of Hydra-style long heads, technical type things.
Wow, man, that's a bit of a wait, what moment. I was like, I thought I killed you. I don't have much ammo left. Or, the cheap way of doing that's when you're fighting a boss and then all of a sudden it's just a second phase. Or, again, Resident Evil 4, you've got to fight 2 trolls at once at one point. And you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
That's Resident Evil 4 has a lot of their moments in there, man. That's T-Rex, though.
That's an iconic one. That's
to get in the cave, don't you?
Yeah. You don't get much.
What you're only fighting like wolves and that. Wolves, bear, 2 raptors, I think. But the music. Oh my god, I'm gonna watch that.
It's a big moment.
Scary.
Big gaming moment. That.
Wow.
Right. Okay. So next question, I guess. And this one's from Sip or Kip or Chip, depending on what part of the world that person is from. Let's go with Chip. Chip asks. Have you guys ever wanted to get into a specific simulator genre, but the cost of the equipment and the fact that you are not sure if you will even play that much put you off? I'm not a simulator guy, really. What about you guys?
I don't know how many simulators have got peripherals apart from the flying ones. Is it like a farming one?
I don't know. I completely. This is a blind spot for me, real blind spot.
Yeah. I can't say that I am particularly knowledgeable either.
Pretty Good Simulators is not a spin-off channel that's going to be happening anytime soon.
I remember Chip posted his pretty damn good and impressive computer specs a couple of months ago. Called us 1080 scrubs. To know that he's using that computer to play a simulator game is blowing my mind.
1080p.
What don't I know about this man? But no, I don't know. Sims are, I guess that's where a lot of gamers go, and that's their final resting place. They don't get out of that hole. It's like the Football Manager of games. A lot of people will just play that. Like I know a guy, Dan, and he used to play loads of types of games. And now, I think I told you this before, his job is he drives antiques from one side of the country to the other side of the country, from North Wales to London, right? And what does he do in his spare time? Euro Truck Simulator. And he's got all the peripherals. He's got the effective, the realistic clutch thing that goes there. He's got all of that, and that's it. Now that's his rig. That is his rig. He doesn't play any other games. So I guess he's one of those dudes.
Could he beat Dark Souls with his Euro Truck Simulator?
Probably could, yeah.
Peripherals.
In first gear. But yeah, I don't know what other simulator peripherals are like.
You get like the kind of Formula One kind of
looking
things that you can buy him. And just like sports personalities and stuff, they buy them, right? Like proper VR, like car simulator essentially. But,
like the stuff in like that you pay to go in an arcade and it like moves
kind of like that. So there's them things.
Damn, that's top enthusiast levels, that, isn't it? It's like the top 1%.
Yeah,
but they're thousands of pounds.
Serious cash.
Just go down Connors Quay in the old fucking go-karts, innit?
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go, Chip. If you're speaking from experience, get yourself down to Connors Quay.
Yeah.
They've got.
So you don't know what Connors Quay is, have a Google.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple there. Just buy a cheap one.
Make sure you clear your Google history after that. Though.
Yeah, stay away from Connors Quay. Arno Silas asks, love the channel, keep up the great work. Thank you very much. If you could take the main protagonist from one game and play as them in a different game, what would you pick and why? For example, if you could play through the Assassin's Creed series as Solid Snake, or play The Witcher 3 as Batman from the Arkham series, or something.
That is an idea.
That's a mod.
Yeah.
He also says we should get some T-shirts made. So thanks for the business advice, Arno. We'll have a meeting about it. I wouldn't have a video game crossover. I would have a movie video game crossover. I would have Kurt Russell from The Thing in Dead Space. That's what I would do. Because I want to see the confidence of Kurt Russell and the beard and hair of Kurt Russell, and the Arctic protective clothing of Kurt Russell, taking on the aliens of Dead Space.
I would stick Aloy in Witcher 3. I would play that. Then.
That would be she would be she wouldn't have the magic, but she would have the technological advancements.
Replace one apathetic stony-faced protagonist with another. I like your style. I hate video game
At least we got some
crossovers.
backstory for Aloy, do you know what I mean?
No, don't, because you're going to get loads of comments from people going, actually, read the books,
Actually,
mate. Did
actually.
you even play The Witcher 1 and 2? Yes.
No, I
yes,
fucking
yes.
didn't.
Shouts at you guys anyway. I hate video game crossovers. I think they're doing it too much with like Monster Hunter at the moment. You can play as Dante, you can play as Aloy, you can play as fucking Ryu from Street Fighter.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
Kratos,
fighting
isn't it?
games have got a lot of crossovers.
Mega
too.
Man. I don't know. Snake in Assassin's Creed. I was thinking. I read that comment. I was like, he wouldn't be able to climb up that good, would he? And it would be interesting. I'd like a codec call in the Middle East in 400 AD. That would be pretty
Colonel.
sweet. Colonel. I remember that crossover with Metal Gear Solid 3 and Ape Escape. Remember that? Snake Eater. You had to collect all the apes.
Oh yeah. I
Just
had
do that
no
full
Ape
game.
Escape love at that point, and I was just thinking, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Oh, Metal Gear.
Yeah.
It's so wacky. Yeah, just do that full game.
Pretty much that is what I was thinking. Yeah. Gareth, have you got any closing thoughts on video game crossovers?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything better than Aloy, Witcher 3. I think that's a decent. Guybrush Threepwood would be a good character to bring back into some game.
That's a
pirate
good
game.
shout.
He-
That's a
he-
good
he-
shout.
Play as him as in, I don't know, Sea of Thieves, I guess.
It's a pirate game.
It's a pirate game.
It's
I
an
mean,
easy fit.
Yeah.
yeah,
That would be a
work.
lovely little Easter egg if someone made mention, if an NPC
Oh,
in Sea of
yeah.
Thieves made
Yeah.
mention of Guybrush.
You can't do a pirate game and not at least have a little homage to Monkey Island.
The greatest
Yeah.
pirates series of
Yeah.
video games ever produced.
Yeah.
Talking of crossovers, there was, I think it was a launch trailer where there was reference to the Goonies, right? One of the best, best
Yeah.
films from the fucking 80s. The Goonies, Pirates trailer. Was it One-Eyed Willie and his treasure?
The Goonies, Jake.
Yeah, it's how he said it twice. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
The
so,
motherfucking Goonies, boy.
you know, I've got a Goonies t-shirt, but it's green, so I can never wear it at work because
'cause
I'll
it
just be
is
fucking
green,
invisible
invisible.
with just a fucking one-eyed Willie.
I think that would be worth it. I think that would
Be worth it, yeah. Maybe
should-
next podcast, guys.
Yeah.
I'll be invisible, but at least you'll get the Goonies.
You'll get the
reference.
logo. You'll get the artwork right, at least. Okay, so Dimitar Dimitrov, who actually had his name in Cyrillic, so I had to paste that into Google Translate just so you know that I put in the extra
Don't
graph
say he
there for
doesn't
you.
put in the work. Huh?
Yeah, so thanks for your question, Dimitar Dimitrov. He asks, how do you feel about games that you don't complete? You have played the game, like it, but at some point the game became boring or repetitive. Do you feel bad for not finishing it? Do you beat it just because you have to? So what do you do when a game, you're losing steam halfway through? You just leave it. I'm a kind of just leave it kind of do person.
Totally. There's too many games these days, isn't there? You just have to move on.
Yeah.
You make your
yeah.
peace with it. It's like, right, I've paid my money. I've got some enjoyment out of it. I could have more, but there's that game and there's that game, and I just don't have enough time.
It's hard, you got to leave them sometimes a little bit too soon.
You got to move on.
There's a couple of games that I have fond memories of when I think back, and I think I'm gonna revisit. And I'll tell you one game that I really had a nice time with. Lost the momentum. I think that's the key to a lot of this, because
If you leave it for a week.
You're playing this is the example here. Final Fantasy 15. I loved it. I lost momentum. I loaded it up. I was like, what the fuck? Where am I? What am I doing? I'm fucking off this, man. And then, I'm going to have to start the whole thing again now. But that's an example. With these games, they're so complex. Like, you load up and you're in the middle of nowhere. You don't know which way you're supposed to be going. But I most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I'm just have to put it to bed. But I think there's a couple of games I add to a list. And Final Fantasy 15, I'm going to go back with a vengeance and do it. Because I know I was enjoying it, and I know that. But yeah, a lot of the time it's mostly going, I should really play that again. But then you don't.
Yeah.
I think I'm teetering over the edge now with Kingdom Come Deliverance right now, because I'm waiting for the game to be fixed properly. 1.3 patch didn't fix everything, but I don't know. I don't want to leave it too long, but I don't know. It's one of them. And Monster Hunter World, I jumped in for an hour the other day just to try and generate a little bit of traction again, but it didn't happen for me. So I don't think I'll be picking that up again anytime soon. But it's difficult. It's difficult. I'm trying to challenge myself to play a little bit more rather than just leaving them now.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to just try a few games and only play a few hours, but not connect with any games and just skim over the surface of too many games without connecting deeply with it. So I want to at least try and go back to it at some point and see if anything takes me in future, and that's something that I'm conscious of now too.
Well, I'm usually very much a one game at a time kind of person, but I have a multiplayer or a shooter game on the side as well. But I definitely I know if I'm going to enjoy a game or not, and after a short space of time, I'm very confident because I'm not really had very many big U-turns other than Breath of the Wild that I can think of. And even yes, it's a matter of catalog having loads and loads of games to play, and especially when we get given keys and stuff, and we've got to cover all these different games. So you end up, like Burnout Paradise. I played that I haven't completed that by any means. I've
uninstalled that.
Yeah, but I've had enough time with it to make a video and get a really strong impression of it and stuff. And I feel and it was entertaining enough. But I feel like that's kind of gone. What I do is set a priority kind of thing. If a game is particularly short, if it's a 2 hour kind of indie game, I'll definitely just hammer that, because I can do it. I can do it in like 2 hours or 6 hours even. It's usually when it's a big ongoing online game or a really big AAA open world thing that I'll decide after a few hours I'll just fall off it and not really
Do you
beat
know what
it.
your latest victim is? Gaz saying that he is thinking Kingdom Come Deliverance maybe. Any idea what your latest game in the game graveyard is?
Oh right, I see. To be dropped. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel Monster Hunter World. I still haven't beaten that, to be honest. But that's because that's more a time commitment kind of thing as well. And then there are other games that have scratched the co-op kind of itch for me, like Warhammer Vermintide, which is just so playable and so jump in and but I'm not I'm not writing it off. But I feel like maybe that's in the danger zone a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. But it is definitely a thing to manage, because we've all got like massive Steam libraries and stuff now these days, right? Everyone's got like massive catalogues of games that they haven't dipped into because of Steam sales and Humble Bundle and whatever. So that's a great question, Dimitar. Thank you very much. Stephen can't think of a clever name. Hughes. It was going to happen eventually. Man, don't worry about it. We won't dwell on it. How do you guys deal with crippling loneliness and the unshakable feeling that one is wasting their life, stuck in an endless cycle of self-sabotage and self-destruction? Also, what's your favourite video game name?
I don't think you come to terms with that, really, do you? There's just no... There isn't any comes to terms with that. It's just
find a life partner.
Well, that's the sad reality of the first half of your question, Stephen.
Don't be lonely.
Is what's your favourite video game name? So literally the name, not the game itself.
Oh, gotta be one of Liam's specials, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Like fucking Valkyrie Chronicles 94, J Dragon Ninja.
No, it's no relevance.
What you're saying?
So I've put down some of my favourites.
What?
Surprise, surprise, Bloodborne.
Oh fucking
name.
The Witcher. Names, literally the name of the game. The Witcher. I really like the. So
one of Liam's specials definitely could work though, right?
Valkyrie. Liam
You're just naming games that you like the best, Mike.
No, definitely not. Well, yes, but
yes, you are.
But the name is great.
Okay. A cool name.
Not a cool name. Just a appropriate, good name. I think The Witcher is a great word. I think, or a great phrase. Like, what is it? What is this? It feels like
Okay,
because it's not
it's its own word, so it's easily recognizable.
Fable.
It's iconic now.
Fable. It's a great name. It's
the plot,
Fable. It's a fucking brilliant name. Knights of the Old Republic. That's one of the best Star Wars names outside of Star Wars.
Yeah, a bit long though if you're not a Star Wars fan, but I don't know. I think all Star Wars names are a
bit
bit
what I like about Knights of the Republic is that it implies age. That it implies that the Star Wars universe is much older than we thought.
Not Knights of the New Republic.
It's not
They're like the new
Knights
school.
of the Old Republic.
They've trained. It shows discipline. It
sounds
shows
like
age. It's like
Star Wars is in modern times, and the Old Republic was like the Roman times for us. Do you know what I mean? It's depth there. Yeah. It's not just a vast galaxy; it's a vast span of time as well. Oh, fuck, I love Star Wars.
It's a good sale. Yeah, I love that it's called Star Wars though. That's what's funny. Knights of the Old Republic sounds like
Star Wars is incredibly
Star Wars sounds
70s.
Like Lambrini. Yeah,
it's really 70s Star Wars.
I think Witcher, you're onto something because it's its own thing and it just fits. It sounds cool.
Bloodborne, Born of the Blood, fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And thematically spot on. Fable, I just really like because it's a nice. Let's put that. Think of a better name for Fable right now.
I think I think especially because like when you think of a Fable, you think of a certain time frame.
Yeah.
Like the old days and shit, wooden houses and that. It's kind of got that.
It's about heroes.
It is
it's
a fable, yeah.
Your own legacy.
The plot is in the title.
Yeah, it's about building up your heroic persona.
Yeah, you're perfect. Right, yeah.
I'm just getting emotional thinking about Fable.
Yeah, I'd say one that sticks to me. I was going to say skate, but it's not.
Skate? Because it implies skating.
I can't think. Again, everybody's gone to the Raptors.
One that sticks with me is skate. You're a bellend, mate.
Everybody's gone to the Raptors. Quite funny, isn't it? It's quite a good one, that.
Yeah, it's I think that works.
I like that. What is it about?
Well, it's Everybody Wants to Rapture, mate. It's a one-sentence explanation. It's an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Mass Effect, I like. It's a good sci-fi.
Do you know what is a funny one? Dino Crisis. Oh, it's been a Dino Crisis.
There's been a crisis. Don't tell me it's a Dino Crisis.
I like Ape Escape, but there is room for improvement. You could just call it Escape with a capital Ape.
Ape, yeah, that's
In
good.
it, exactly, capital Ape.
If only they thought of that, they might have sold
Escape.
loads.
So I can't give
But there's probably that is just the word escape.
Yeah, but no, yeah, that's what I mean. But make Ape in capitals, innit?
Yeah,
that's
Ape.
Escape.
Okay.
Escape.
But maybe there's already an existing copyright for the word escape.
I don't know.
Which,
I don't know that.
just think about the series. Just think about the legal.
I escape and then maybe an exclamation mark to prove you're a bit kooky and that.
Do you know what's a shit name? Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah. What is it? Fucking Sons of Liberty and fuck off.
Yeah, I mean,
Snake Eater. Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Because he eats a snake at one point. Is there any other point to it being called Snake Eater? Is it Operation Snake Eater? Why is it called Snake Eater?
Also, his name is Snake.
It's not about eating snakes either. So it doesn't.
I think that there's snake eating in it, though, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. But there's also cardboard boxing in there. So what are you going to call that?
Cardboard box hiding.
Metal Gear
Metal
Solid-
Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, Metal Gear
Hiding
Solid
under
3.
a cardboard box.
Cardboard box. Metal Gear Solid 3. Ladder climb.
Metal Gear Solid 3 lying in the
Shite
grass.
name.
Metal Gear Solid 3 changing your clothes in the middle of the desert.
Metal Gear Solid 3. Fall off bridge. Metal Gear Solid 4. Field of Fight Lilies. Fuck off. Fuck off.
The game I like the name of is something we played recently and made you a video. You might have seen it. Survive.io, right? Because if you read it, survive ya.
That's Welsh for survive.
It's
and it's not
Wenglish,
really.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
Wenglish.
Yeah.
There's people who want to speak Welsh. They just add ya at the end of it.
Because it sounds vaguely Welsh.
Survive ya.
So,
it's
yeah.
like it's like what a Wenglish person
Yeah.
would say.
I
Survive
thought
ya.
that as
That's
well,
a good
yeah.
name.
Survivio sounds.
Survivio,
If you pronounce it Survivio, that sounds like Survivio sounds like a Kickstarter campaign for a Swiss Army knife or something like
Yeah.
that could do loads of shit. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or like bottled water. But yeah, I can't get over how bad Metal Gear Solid 3's title is.
Yeah.
It's really
Well,
annoying.
it might have lost in translation. You know what I mean?
It's
gotta be,
full
isn't
of
it?
shite still. Metal
Metal
Gear
Gear
Solid.
Solid. I mean, it's not soft, is it? It's fucking solid.
It's
I mean,
Metal Gear Solid.
metal.
I mean, it's not a great name. Banjo-Kazooie. I really like that name.
Do you?
Yeah, but I
Do
just
you?
read it because it's on the next question.
But Donkey Kong as well. What's that about?
Can we ask the last question? Can we
Okay,
just,
so the final question
move
of the
on, please?
podcast.
Snake eater.
Thank you very much, Stephen Hughes. That was a belter.
If you eat snakes, you get
OG
poisoned.
Snoodlem with the last question to close out the podcast. 2 words. Best witch.
Whatever, out of anything.
Well,
I got
I
loads.
mean,
I got
let's
this for
keep it
days.
to games. Let's keep it to games.
Best witch. This is a game podcast.
Jake is so excited. He's annoyed. Jake is so. He's like, this is my question. This is my question. But you're annoyed at yourself. I've never seen anything like it. So let me just say some words. Gruntilda from Banjo-Kazooie. Come at me.
What else have you got?
Flemeth, Morrigan's mum from Dragon Age, who is very close to being the ultimate hag. She's so old, she's basically immortal. She transforms into a dragon, and she's using her daughter as a way to keep herself
That is
eternally
strong.
young.
That
That's
is
fucking good.
That's a
She's
strong
a great
pitch.
witch.
That's a strong pitch through. Which pitch? Number one.
Which also the crones of Crookback Bog from The Witcher 3, who are 3 Welsh hags who are completely, horribly, malformed, I suppose, by their own evil magic, I guess, isn't it? So they're cool. The Witch of Hemwick from Bloodborne, who's just
a limpet.
shit.
It's basically a couple of limpets.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was
hat
a
on.
slight annoyance, is what the
The easiest.
it was. And also Hermione.
Oh yeah.
But is she a witch or is she a wizard? I'm forgetting my Harry Potter lore here.
She's a witch.
She is a witch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A witch is a female wizard, isn't it? Even
Is
in
it
that word.
in the Harry Potter?
Yeah,
Okay.
But it's like, because it's witchcraft and wizardry.
Yeah, of course it is.
so,
Yeah. Okay.
She can still come.
Hermione's a witch, confirmed. Right.
Yeah.
So, Jake, you got any better witches?
No, I think that's pretty strong. Witches in video games are kind of always just like shit bad guys, aren't they? Really.
Yeah.
I remember.
Isn't Bayonetta? She's a
Some sort of bullet witch or something like that.
like that sounds made up, but that is what
No,
it is.
I honestly think she is some sort of bullet.
That
witch.
is what it is. I think. Gaz, you got a favourite witch from video games?
In gaming, no. Shout out to Sabrina though, she's a cool witch.
If inside gaming, I've got Cassandra from Divinity Original Sin, good witch.
Yeah.
She has this really cool story where she's got this abusive relationship going on. She keeps this guy in a cage as a cat. It's really good. I like that one. Outside, we can go for days. Thomasin from The Witch, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. The Love Witch, the most attractive witch of all time. Anything, Roald Dahl, The Witches. Come on, boy. Anyone from Suspiria? I could just fucking hell. Kiki from Studio Ghibli.
Thank you for listening to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode 56. There were some great questions this week. Genuinely good set of questions. Like I said at the top of this, if I didn't answer your question, if I didn't read out your question, and you want it, you really want us to have a go at it, just put it in next week's comment section. When we post this up on Patreon, just reply to that and put the question in there again, and we'll have another look at it. Thank you everyone for watching, and thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.